Thank you for joining us for another episode of Topic Circles. Today we're going to hear from Sarah Barcomb about the very rare Lance Adams syndrome.
This is MVCC's Topic Circles.
Hi Sarah, thank you so much for joining us today. So if we can just start by having you tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do here at the college.
Sure, absolutely. So my name is Sarah Barcomb. I'm the coordinator of the MVCC Youth Build program, and that works with the young youthful adults to get their high school equivalency, get them some education and training, and ideally get them to post-secondary or their career.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your disability, maybe a little bit about how it started.
So it's a very interesting story. 3 years ago on April 29th, I was getting ready for work and I blacked out in the shower. Turns out I suffered a severe pulmonary embolism. My children found me blue in the lips and I ended up dead for 42 minutes. They ended up obviously reviving me. Here I am alive. But the consequence was I won that golden ticket that landed me with a condition, a syndrome called Lance Adams syndrome. Lance Adams syndrome is so rare that only 120 people roughly have it worldwide. So I should have taken the lottery that day instead of dying, but I didn't have a choice. And you only have a chance to get it if you are successfully resuscitated. So what it looks like is think of it like essential tremors or like Parkinson's, where your body just can't stop shaking with intention. So if I'm resting and comfortable, I don't tend to shake, but if I try to write, if I try to walk, if I try to chew, you'll start seeing my body start kind of spazzing out. I called myself the floppy fish for a while. You're just spazzing out. So that's how my disability presents itself. Medication keeps me a little toned down, but I still take a lot of spills all over the place and trips, and you can't read my handwriting, but we've found adaptations around that.
Tell us a little bit more about the adaptations.
So when I first came out of rehab, I was in a wheelchair. I had to have everything done for me, everything from toiletries to feeding, and that was, I felt, a big burden on everybody. But gradually, through therapy, I ended up in a walker, and through medication and more therapy, I ended up with being able to walk with a cane or walking in arm in arm. Now I can walk independently. Adaptations that I use for work a lot are just typing onto a keyboard. I slowed down the speed on my mouse because sometimes I can't steady the mouse well enough to click on those small little icons that sometimes the computers have on them. So I slowed down the speed of my mouse to be able to click on those things. So just small things like that have been able to help me do my job more readily and more in a serviceable time for my students.
Sure. So have you explored any accessibility technology besides slowing down your mouse? I think of like speech to text.
Right. Sometimes I'll do that on my phone when it comes to like texting and things like that, because there was a point in time I couldn't even steady my finger to dial a number, right? So it'd be like, hey Siri, call mom, that kind of thing. So I did used to do a lot of speech to text, but I've gone how many years using these old thumbs to try to text out. It was a little bit of a foreign technology for me to use, but I will use it if I'm having an unusual bad day.
Neat. Yeah, there's lots of new technology that I like to hear how people have been using it. That's cool. So, are there any other challenges you face that you want to share?
So before all of this, I was decently active. I've got 2 children, we'd be outside playing. I grew up riding horses, grew up ski racing, and now a lot of these activities were activities that I just couldn't quite function to do. And I really felt bad that they were activities that I could no longer, or at least I felt I could no longer do with my children. And I thought that they were losing out on some of these experiences. So I was able to, last year, I got up on a horse for the first time. We only walked, but we got up on the horse. It was a good step. And last year, And the year before, I got up on skis. Now, I took one run. It was harder than I can tell you. Using, I feel like, more muscles than I've ever used in my life, and very fatiguing. But we've been slowly trying to figure out the best way. And I'm actually on the ski patrol, which is really funny to have a ski patrol person with this type of disability, because if you come in with a broken arm and I'm sitting there shaking trying to help fix your arm, I'm just going to hurt you even more. But I have a wonderful team that they found MacGyver devices. They'll say a big boom pole, and they'll take each end and they'll say, okay, Sarah, you stand in the middle. So it's kind of like I can hold on to that and ski with down the hill every now and then. So
can I ask what mountain this is?
It's Woods Valley.
Woods, yay Woods! We'll give a shout out to Woods Valley for that. Great, awesome. So how about any impact your disability has had on you in the work setting here at MV?
I mean, it's had a huge impact. I feel like I used to be a little more on the forefront of working with my students. I'm talking, feet to the ground, right there with them, in the dirt with them. Community cleanup days, I'm doing all of it with them. And now it's like, I feel like I had to take a step back and let others take a little bit more of that active role, which I didn't necessarily like, still don't necessarily like. I'll put in as much work as I can. But I've come to the realization that I have to know my limits, and there are other staff that can help, and I don't have to take on the mountain myself. That I can share resources and share the role.
Awesome. That's good advice for everybody. And so our final question is there one thing that you'd like the world to know about your disability? What would you like to tell people?
That it exists, because every time I walk into my doctor's offices, I don't care what doctor you're talking about, it's just so funny. They want to sit down and have about an hour-long conversation about just how I'm even still alive, because I really shouldn't honestly be alive. So I just keep telling him I'm a unicorn. You have never seen anybody like me, because nobody knows of Lance-Adams syndrome. So A, it exists. B, it's a very humbling experience. And that if you are either have it or know somebody that has it and you're a caregiver, there's light at the end of the tunnel. There is a support group actually on Facebook. So I joined it thinking that, that's going to be my place where I can find out that, hey, this is curable down the road. Turns out it's not, but I actually found when I got on there that I'm actually farther along than some of the others that have been in this process for longer time than me. And we're all at various stages. So practice, therapy, even a diet and that kind of thing, everything all helps towards, getting you back to semi-functioning. I have realized that I'll never be 100% the old Sarah that I once was, but I feel now that I can get darn close, which is comforting.
Awesome. Well, we thank you so much, Sarah, for sharing your story today and for being part of our topic circles. We really
Absolutely.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks.